Today, I wanted to show you another hot tip. This one's going to be about efficiently replacing breaths in your audio when you're doing a long narration and you've got, normal human body operation and you breathe when you're recording, and then you have to like edit it out because otherwise you sound like a asthmatic clown. Asthmatic clown. And you also have these gross, like, crackly mouth noises that you want to do something about. And you need some, like, efficient pacing. Well, here's how I used to do it. So I would start with a recording and I would leave some space at the beginning of my recording. And that would be my room tone. So let's say I was in the recording booth and I would say room tone. And then I would leave 5 or 6 seconds of silence. That's too much. You don't need 5 or 6 seconds. 1 or 2 seconds is fine. Anyway, 1 or 2 seconds of room tone. Just like that. Maybe you heard my refrigerator in this room tone. Anyway, now I would use that room tone to paste over my gross breaths. Gross breaths in my audio. But then I would do it like this. Okay, so hey, I've got room tone. I'm going to, Command C on that. Oh, and copy it. And then I'm going to come over to where there's a breath. And then I'm going to paste that. So here's a breath. You can tell cuz it's lower than the spiky stuff. Here's a breath.
Emergency.
Oh, gross. She breathes. All right, and then I'm going to just paste it over with my amount of room tone that I copied. Hey, cool. Great. Works great. Fantastic. If you just stopped there, you knew that much, you're off to a great, fantastic start. You've pasted over room tone over a breath, and it just sounds fine. Sounds normal. And I wouldn't, if I were you, just delete the breath because then you sound like an unnatural robot that doesn't breathe. So your listener actually wants to hear, whether they know it or not, they want to hear that space for the breath because it makes them more comfortable. If you delete that breath, my theory personally is that it sounds like you are not a normal human person and something is wrong. It's kind of like the uncanny valley of an animation that looks too human but isn't quite human. Something's wrong. My brain can't wrap myself around. I can't wrap myself around a lot of things because I'm not very bendable. But your brain can't wrap yourself around it, and you're like, "What am I gonna do?" This audio makes me so uncomfortable, and I don't know why. Anyway, so that's my theory. Don't delete the breaths. Replace it with space. That's the moral of the story. Replace it with room tone space. Now, here's the problem. That same kind of uncomfortable anxiety that comes with having no breaths is kind of also there if all the breaths are too long, or if your pacing is not right, or if you say something weird and it just doesn't make sense. So I like to have a couple different sizes of room tones to paste over the breaths, and the initial thing I was doing was like, here I'm cutting and I'm pasting over here, and then when I play back the
Help
audio,
a safe, healthy, and compliant.
well, that space was too long for that breath, so I got to come in here and delete it. Let's play that again for the pacing.
To a safe, healthy, and compliant workplace.
Now that sounds better, but also not super efficient because I have to delete the extra space and kind of play with the pacing the whole time. So I found that at the beginning of my audio, I always want an exact half second of space before the audio starts. That's very exact, my exact half second of space. Now, I don't remember why I do that. I think somebody told me that. That's just what I do. And I recommend you do it as well because it's just polite. Don't start your audio right at the top. There's no space to move around. It's like when you take a photo, you need a little headroom on top. Anyway, this is what this is, headroom. Anyway, I was trying to figure out how to do this without doing the little delete and fix the pacing thing. And I thought, I'm going to scoot. I wish there was like, when I copy something, it goes to the clipboard. I wish there was like multiple clipboards. And turns out, when I Googled that, there is in Audition. So if you are in Audition, and I'm using Audition CS6, but I know that it is in the newer versions as well. If you go to Edit, you got this option here to set the current clipboard. Audition has 5 clipboards. That means you can cut and paste 5 separate things. Basically, you're storing 5 different separate clips. So what I do is I make my first one the half-second size of room tone space. And then I set a new clipboard, and you can either do it here in your controls, so edit, set current clipboard, and then select the second one. And now my second clipboard, I'm going to highlight a smaller piece of audio, even smaller than that, like 1.5 milliseconds. And I'm going to Command C to copy that. And that's now on my second clipboard. Now to switch between the two, and it's different if you're on a PC or a Mac, but if I go Command 1, I'm now on clipboard 1. If I do Command 2, I'm on clipboard 2. So let me show you how that works. If I do Command 1, Command V to paste, I get 1/2 second of audio. But if I switch to clipboard 2, Command 2, and then Command V to paste, I now only have that 1.5 milliseconds audio. So if you get used to this when you're cutting and pasting, it makes things super efficient. Now, the other thing I would do is sometimes I need a beep for separating takes. And so clipboard 3 is my beep. Sometimes I need a little more room tone. What I'm trying to think of more examples. Now, sometimes I need to move a piece of audio, so I'll use clipboard 4 for that. So it's a matter of like just getting your hands used to the hotkeys on your clipboard. So switching between clipboards. The moral of the story is you got 5 clipboards. You can store 5 snippets of audio. So I'm just going to like actually edit
Everyone
this
at your
audio
facility must work together
and show you how I do it like in real time, in practice. So I've already done this one.
to a safe, healthy, and compliant workplace. If you observe any unsafe conditions or an accident, notify the manager immediately. Keeping your work area
Okay, I want to get rid of this dude. No, not that far. All right. I did a Command 2 to switch to copy over the clipboard 2 and Command V to paste. Let's see. I still want to check that pacing because that's a little tight.
the manager immediately. Keeping your work area organized.
Yeah, that's too tight. So maybe I need a bigger piece of room tone in my. I'm going to go back to the beginning where it was nice and clean. Okay, I'm going to actually get a 1/4 of a second. Is a half of a half second is a quarter. Is that right? I'm not good at math. All right. All right. Clipboard 2, copy pasted, or copied rather, not pasted yet. Am I confusing you? Yeah, I realize. This is how
If you observe
a person with ADD talks. Okay.
any unsafe conditions or an accident, notify the manager immediately. Keeping your work area
Let's give that a little more breathing room. Haha, breathing room. Paste. There we go.
immediately. Keeping your work area organized and as clean as possible will create a safer working environment and prevent slips, trips, and falls. Emergency equipment such as fire extinguisher.
Okay. Get rid of that guy because he was a mistake. Paste.
Such as fire extinguishers, eye wash stations, electrical panels, and emergency.
There we go. See that breath is actually about a 1/4 of a second. A little more, but see, it seems it's like a natural
Eye wash
amount of time.
stations,
I'm gonna get rid of this little spike there. I think that's a mouth noise.
Eye wash stations, electrical panels, and emergency exits must be kept free of obstructions and have 36 inches of clearance around them.
Okay, here is breath. Boom. That would be a little more fun if I boomed and then it actually worked. But it's running a little slow because I'm trying to string.
And have 36 inches of clearance around them. Obstructed emergency.
All right, that was a long breath, but it'll still sound natural-ish.
Clearance around them. Obstructed emergency equipment can delay immediate access and result in property damage, injury, or health. Or death. Or death.
That was so dramatic. Or death.
Injury or health.
I said or health, and I meant or death.
Or health.
Now, here's a little fun bonus tip. Let me see if I can find a nice chunk of mouth noise.
Injury or death.
I hate going through these and pulling out the mouth noise manually, but I will do it. I will do it because it makes the audio sound so much better. And the mouth noise is gross. So the first tip of not having mouth noise is to hydrate. So hydrate. You got to drink that water like 1 to 2 hours before you actually go into your booth and start speaking words into the microphone, because then less gross mouth noise. The second thing, my second hot tip, is, make it entertaining for yourself, because this is boring. And here, I found one. See that click? That's like, a gross noise from my mouth. And I could just delete it. I could erase it. Or I could copy it to my third clipboard. Switch to clipboard 3, copy paste that guy. Well, just copy it. And then I've got a nice little file that I like to call the mouth noise collector. And I'm just putting all my mouth noises